Hello and welcome to the Strategic Bookkeeper Podcast. I've just wrapped an interview, a conversation with Riley James from xOnBoard, a software, a fintech, if you like to call it that. So a piece of software that helps us with employee onboarding. Okay. This is a product that at the moment is focused in the Australian market and connects with Xero software. It is going to probably go into other countries and connect with other software, but at the moment that's their focus. I think there's something in this one for everyone because it really is about onboarding. In Australia, we've got a compliance change coming, which is Payday Super, and xOnBoard has got that covered. That change will come in 26. So rather than rattle on any more, Riley's going to introduce himself inside the podcast. So let's jump in and I'll see you in there. I'm Jeannie Savage, the Strategic Bookkeeper. I've been in practice for 14 years, but more importantly, 5 years in, I achieved a lifestyle practice. This means I scaled my business, could take my hands off the wheel, and draw a nice six-figure income while being time rich. And that's what I call my dream on my terms. I was recently awarded Women in Finance Innovator of the Year, recognizing my book, my podcast, my program, and my impact globally. The Strategic Bookkeeper is my life's work, and the opportunity to help bookkeepers globally achieve the income and lifestyle that sets them free absolutely fills my cup. Please do connect with me on socials at the Strategic Bookkeepers Way private Facebook group or shoot me an email, hello@thestrategicbookkeeper.global. Welcome to the podcast, Riley.
Hey, Jeannie. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. So we're going to talk today about xOnBoard. As always, for my listeners out there, everything I do, everyone I put in front of you is to help you do better in business. Okay. So this is to help you ultimately scale yourself to that beautiful, nice income figure, whatever that is for you, and lots of time off because primarily I serve mummies just like myself, okay? Although I certainly don't feel like I'm having a lot of time off at the moment, but that's being an entrepreneur. It's never flat, right? It's up and down. So Riley, thank you for coming on today. Before we jump into the juicy parts, I'd love for you to just introduce yourself and tell us a bit about you, whatever's in your heart to share.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, a bit about me. Many years ago, I used to work at Xero, and that's sort of where my journey with technology and ultimately arriving here at xOnBoard started. And when I was at Xero, it was a really exciting time. I was back in 2012. It was going absolutely gangbusters. And my role there was all around this ecosystem, all the apps that integrated into Xero. My role was to find them, get them connected, and make that happen. So I worked with lots of startups around Xero, and Xero was sort of a massive startup at that time, growing crazy. I really loved their ethos on making things more efficient and really enabling bookkeepers and accountants to offer these, value-added services and not just be seen as someone who does the admin, be seen as someone that adds value to a small business. That was really powerful stuff.
Wow, adds value to a small. I'm writing that down. I love that because look, it's where I live. It's the heart and soul. I have another platform, Riley, called betterinbusiness.global that you can check out. And that's actually set up to promote strategic bookkeepers. And, because that's what we're here to do, right? Add value in order to help our entrepreneurs, our clients do better in business. I'd love for everyone just to have heard that you add value to a business, okay? You're not selling your time to do the books. That's the long haul flight, as I call it. The destination Paris is that value that helps your clients do better in business. So thank you so much for that. When I first found Xero and went a million miles an hour, one of the things I loved is that beautiful partnership that they were forming with all of these fintechs. I mean, Xero changed the face of everything for their partners, for themselves, for us, for business in a way that I don't think anyone will ever really take a moment to process. So xOnBoard. All right. I've got questions. I want to know stuff. Before we pressed record, Riley was telling me that as at today, the 19th of June, 2025, xOnBoard is playing in the Australian market. This is still a great podcast for everyone for a couple of reasons. Number one, they are looking to expand into other countries and offer this service. But number two, we're going to talk about payroll generally and offering up this service, okay? So Riley, as we get started, one of my questions was, so you can do payroll in Xero or you you can be using xOnBoard, and I'd love to understand the difference. So if I'm in my bookkeeping practice, if I'm just using Xero compared to if I decide to use xOnBoard, what is the difference?
Yeah, so xOnBoard is made to complement using Xero's payroll. You don't have to switch payroll to use xOnBoard, but the big sort of gap that Xero's product has is that there's no way to get an employee into Xero payroll without manually collecting all the details somewhere and then manually typing them all in. And that's an inefficient process, and it's an error-prone process. People make typos, you're copying things from form to form, you're ending up with tax file numbers and other very private information in your email inbox and then sending it around to other people. All of that can be better, and that's what xOnBoard makes better. It turns it from a manual process into simply collecting an email address from an employee, and then you put that into xOnBoard, send out an invite to that employee, and the xOnBoard process will kick in and start collecting all of that employee's information that you need to put into Xero.
Yes.
You can review it, and in one click, you can send it straight into Xero.
Okay, great. So for Australia, are we talking tax file declaration?
Yep.
Okay. And does that connect to the ATO, or do we still press that button in Xero to send it?
It connects to the ATO and it will automatically send it. So we'll send in the tax file number declaration, and we'll also pull back the employee's superannuation details, which is a big help.
Great. And if they haven't chosen a super fund, will it do the choosing it for them kind of thing?
Yeah, so we present them with a super choice form, but it's sort of a super choice form on steroids because it can look up their existing super fund from the ATO if they have one and show it to them. And so most people select that option. If they don't have a super fund, we can also automatically register them with either the employer's default super fund, or they can select from any other super fund in the market and they will get registered with that super fund.
Great. Look, I don't get too involved in payroll, but I know when I was involved more with it, it felt like that turned into a long process, that one thing.
100%.
What's super? I don't have a fund because, dealing with all different people. So, okay. The next thing I'd love to know is in terms of, so I'm thinking the entrepreneur has employed someone. Generally, they've done some kind of agreement, which has got rate of pay basis, as in casual, part-time, etc. Is that employee telling you, here's the details, like I'm a casual, here's the rate I told I'd get paid? Are they doing that as well?
So typically the business owner would send the bookkeeper those details and say, hey, there's a new employee, here's their email address, here's the contract that I signed with them, or maybe haven't signed but have sent to them. And that's when you can use xOnBoard to take over the process. So you can enter their email address. You can also collect additional documents. If you sent them the contract, they could then upload a signed version of it into xOnBoard. You'll collect that from them. And things like pay rate, we don't collect those details, but you could enter those into Xero.
Right. So pay rate basis, like basis of employment, we'll enter those into Xero.
The pay rate, yes. The pay basis you do enter into xOnBoard at the end in the review stage.
Review stage, okay.
Yes. The employee wouldn't enter that though. The employee enters things like their personal details, the emergency contacts, their bank account details, the tax file number declaration details, the super choice. And then you would add all the STP related fields. So are they full-time? When's their start date? What's their pay rate? All that sort of stuff. And then you click send, and then all of those details go straight into Xero.
Okay, great. So for them, it's primarily all their personal details, contact details. I can imagine it might have like next of kin, things like that in there. Yep. And then they're also putting their tax file declaration in and their banking details as well.
Yep.
Great. Okay. And then as the payroll clerk, you are doing basis and amount and those kind of things. But I'm just thinking out loud because I feel like they are questions that others would have as well. So the next thing I would love to pivot across to, in what you shared with me, you said Xero helped bookkeepers offer efficiency and fixed price services for bookkeeping. xOnBoard does the same thing for payroll and employee onboarding. And that got me excited because I do a lot of speaking on products and pricing. And oftentimes in my bookkeeping practice, when we are bringing a client on versus when I'm working with my clients, they get very focused on the nitty gritty of, the hours and the time. We've got calculators that does that for us. We want a bare ass minimum. then talk to the client, then figure out maybe the wind changed that day. We figure out what we're going to charge, right? It's not all about the hours. But for us, we are really focused on that first 3 months with the client. There's usually a little bit more work and you're getting to know them, and therefore the profitability on the job gets better and better and better and better and better. Whereas we find a lot of bookkeepers that we work with right from the get-go, they are very focused on that transactional type. Am I going to charge enough? And it's like, well, yes, that's a piece of the puzzle. But if you're using great software these days, really, and you've got really good overarching tech and systems and process and teams, and you know how to manage, et cetera, then the profit shouldn't stay the same as day one. It should actually get better and better and better. So I'd just love for you to talk to us about xOnBoard in terms of efficiency, which I know you're passionate about. If we want to go out and productize our payroll services, and I like to think of it in two ways, and please, I'd love to hear what you've got. We offer either full payroll, we'll be the payroll clerk, we'll do it all, or we offer payroll support where you do your day-to-day payroll, but we'll do the heavy lifting, like new starters, terminations, STP, compliance, etc. And I actually don't let any clients choose neither. They choose one because you have to do one, because I've seen too many mess ups, which I think that would fit really well with xOnBoard. But talk to me about offering up payroll and doing it more profitably with xOnBoard.
Yeah, exactly that. In both cases, I would suggest using xOnBoard, mainly because it can reduce the errors, like the errorless data, not entering superfund details or entering their tax file number as their member number, which just leads to you can't make payment. So it's going to help you in both cases. But particularly if you are offering the full suite, handling new starters and managing offboarding and the whole employee life cycle for your clients, then you don't even have to tell your client that you're now automating most of the process with xOnBoard, but that is certainly going to massively reduce the amount of time you're spending on that, which obviously leads to a higher profitability on the overall services that you are offering, or at least gives you more confidence to be able to charge a fixed price for those services when you know that you're going to have a fixed time input for offering the onboarding.
Yeah.
Where it becomes tricky is that some employees are organized and they're going to send you all the details. They're going to be right the first time, and that's going to be great. But then you're going to spend an outsized amount of time on one employee who keeps sending you the wrong things, or you can't read their handwriting and has to go back and forth a whole bunch of times. That becomes an hourly, and that eats into all of your profitability, which is painful.
Definitely. Yeah. Look, we love thinking about reducing keystrokes, you know what I mean? And I actually had never heard that until a few years ago. A friend of mine was obsessed with it and he had actually become the most profitable architecture firm, and a lot of it was reducing keystrokes, right?
Wow.
And I'm like, I've never heard of this phrasing. But I thought, okay, so every keystroke I don't tap on the computer, I just saved a second, and every time we save time, we save money. My right-hand Joe McMahon and I are a little bit obsessed, and I'm surprised every month how she's squeezing our profit and loss just based on efficiency. And one of our clients is a restaurant, one of my favorite restaurants. He was going to be with us temporarily 9 years later, right? And every week he has new starters terminations because he has a wonderful business. For some businesses, high staff turnover is a sign. But here on the Gold Coast, we've got travelers, visa holders. So the payroll is lots of new starters, terminations. Everyone's permanent part-time rather than casual. Lots of layers there to manage. Can you talk to me about xOnBoard? Is there anything relevant to visas, et cetera, or is that more relevant to the onboarding of the tax file deck? Tell me about that.
Yeah, so we have actually rolled that into the tax file number declaration because you do get problems. People think they're a foreign resident when they actually have a working holiday maker visa. And we've augmented the tax file number declaration to mean they can only select one or the other. It then automatically collects their country of origin, which is necessary in Xero, but it also will stop them from claiming the tax-free threshold when they won't be applicable for it. So got you covered there.
That's so good. Yeah.
Yes. And then with collection, You can collect a copy of their visa if that's what you want, which is a good thing to have.
Wow. Okay. Because I would assume that you're finding some industries are much more fraught with errors and things than others for this. Because that tax file declaration is hard to fill.
Yeah.
You know?
You've never seen one before and you're not really sure what it's asking you or why you're filling it out. It's confusing.
Yeah.
So we make every effort to simplify it, validate details like tax file numbers and whatnot.
Yeah. Okay, great. And then also you're not forgetting, like even if I'm onboarding someone just for me now and I'm maybe trying to go a bit rogue and do it myself, just going, okay, what do I need to get again? Yeah. So just never having to think about that and letting that software do it for you, I think is great as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we actually have a feature called onboarding templates so that you can create specific templates for a different employer or a different role. If, this hospitality client, I need to ask them if they have a visa or I want to get a copy of their responsible service of alcohol or something like that. You don't have to remember each time what this client needs or whatnot. As soon as you log in, it'll have all the templates and you'll see it when you invite them and it'll remind you to select the right one.
Okay. Now, I know we've got software out there that does, a lot of time sheeting, and then you've got software that does more HR functions. Do you fit in a particular kind of area?
Yeah, so we have stayed very specific to the onboarding process, and we don't do HR, we don't do rostering and timesheeting, but we can work in conjunction with those products as well. So this is where that sort of app stack terminology comes into play, where xOnBoard can be used at the start of the process to onboard an employee into Xero's payroll. And then you can use things like Deputy or Tanda or Employment Hero or any of those other tools that will connect to Xero's payroll and pull those employees back out. So if you have someone that is using Deputy and they really like the rostering and whatnot from that tool, you can still use xOnBoard as your point of entry for a new employee to get both into Xero and into Deputy to start the process.
Yeah, because I think that restaurant client of ours, they were always using Deputy, which was helpful. But I have to say, last time I was looking at handovers, because we have to make sure there's business continuity, right? So more than one staff member can do it, and the payroll, honestly. So if I understand you correctly, xOnBoard is going to specialize in the onboarding. And so it's going to work really well with things like Deputy for rostering, et cetera.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, beautiful. Now, I feel like we're going to get this one done short and sharp. This is so good. Lastly, anything else that you would like to tell me more about xOnBoard, like key features, stories, anything that you think, yes, I want to share that?
Yeah, well, I mean, the biggest feedback we get from bookkeepers is they're just really excited that they'll never have a client email their tax file number directly to them again and get that out of their inbox. So that's definitely something that people really rave that they found a solution to that problem. And outside of that, I guess this is very Australian specific, but there's this journey at the moment that the whole industry, payroll industry, is going on towards payday super, which is happening in 2026, where everyone's super needs to be paid within 7 days. And it's going to be a big challenge for a lot of businesses out there. We're very focused on that. And we see xOnBoard as the real solution to that by having a really automated process that does all the super stapling and collects all the super details more accurately and verifies them. And so that's really the sort of key piece of what our product does that no one else out there is currently doing. And I guess giving bookkeepers and Xero users the confidence that that date's going to come and go and they're not going to have to uproot all their processes, completely change how they do onboarding just to meet that.
Yep.
They'll already be covered.
I'll definitely be looking at this for our restaurant client, which is amazing. So when it comes to employee onboarding, do you think that there's been a lot of softwares doing rostering and HR and all, but nobody was doing the onboarding process and then integrating it into a software like Xero really well? You think that was a gap?
I think particularly on the superannuation piece, it just wasn't automated. So the extent of onboarding for your superannuation fund in other software is, can you please enter the ABN, the USI, the name of the fund, and your member number? And the reality is most employees have no idea what any of those things mean. So they just start entering things and it's a mess. So we just felt like that was causing issues for bookkeepers. But if you look on the horizon towards payday super, it's actually just not going to be up to standard. If you're just collecting those manually, you're going to have the details wrong. And then when you try to make payment, the payment's going to fail. And then you've only got 7 days to fix it. So you're going to end up not missing the date. And then you're going to have to do the SG charge,
SG,
fees and extra admin. And it's a complicated process from that point. So
that's massive.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we need to get you on again, closer to
100%.
Yeah, because that's just horrible. Do you know, even me in my bookkeeping practice, we do our super monthly and we tell our clients, you're doing it monthly, right? And we just feel like it's a good habit and everything. And Xero has made the monthly quite user-friendly. Even I miss it sometimes. Like, it's really easy. I think we had to do an SGC once. And I'm like, really? Unlike absolutely everything else, super is just that one thing that you have to get right. So that is amazing, because I spoke to Kelly Berger here in Australia. I don't know if you know her. She runs Bookkeepers support group. Definitely worth connecting with Kelly. And she said to me that bookkeepers were really stressed about all these compliance changes, and then also what we call busy book but broken. There's so much stress out there about compliance. And so to know that there's just a really simple solution. And the other thing for bookkeepers listening, you don't necessarily have to go and say, we're going to use xOnBoard. Like Riley was saying before, this is a tool in your toolbox. You can go and say, look, payday super is coming. It's another onerous level of compliance, but you must be able to handle this. And we want to let you know that we've already sorted it at our end. Okay. So we're just going to make sure that we implement things with you that make it much easier for you to be compliant and sleep well at night. It's just like it's a hammer in your toolkit. You don't have to always tell people whatever you're using. Your tech toolkit is your tech toolkit.
100%. And they'll thank you for it, because they're probably using manual forms, paper forms, things are flying around, things are getting lost, and this is the solution to it. And they'll thank you for putting it in for them.
Absolutely. And then you can catch up to find out more about their business, and that will lead to advisory work. Very passionate about that. All right, Riley. So in terms of where to find you, xOnBoard.com.au is simply the letter X and then onboard.com.au. So really easy to find. We're going to drop that in the show notes as well. I can see that you've got book a demo in there, but is that all the right way to get in touch?
Yeah, booking a demo is probably the best way to, talk to us and see the product and get started. But other than that, you can just register yourself and give it a crack yourself if you want to. But feel free to book in a demo and we'll have a chat, take you through it.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you for coming on, Riley. That was amazing.
No worries. Thanks, Jeannie. Appreciate it.
Okay, my friend, now it is time to take action. So what are you going to do with what you learned today? The way I see it, you've got two options. You can go it alone to try and save some money, or you can back yourself and go for it and join my tribe. And let me tell you, we are knocking it out of the ballpark. That's not a sales pitch. That is me serving you, dare I say, courageously. To find success, I 100% know you need the mechanics, which is like the keys to the kingdom, but you also need to get your mindset right and be super productive. And these are all things I help you with inside the program. I could go on about this forever because I really want this for you. Have a prosperous week, and I'll see you in the next episode.